I'm your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I'm doing this message as part of a series of lectures on the elite, the oligarchy, and governance. Let me talk about socio-political / economic intelligence. You see, the Bible says, by wisdom is a house built. By understanding, it is established. And through knowledge, its rooms are filled with rare and precious ornaments. A house in this case represents a family, a dynasty, a legacy. That is to say, God relates with people as families. Now, it requires proper understanding, or what I call socioeconomic intelligence, to make waves and to excel and to belong to the elite class in any environment. In fact, the injunction, be fruitful, multiply, have dominion and rule over, seem to be more properly understood and appropriated by so-called unbelievers that we don't like, who are members of the elite and the ruling class, than us Christians. If we understand that scripture very well, we will run our churches, run our businesses, run our marriages very differently. I was discussing with my son and somebody resident in Germany to another person, and they said that majority of the people who work in the health sector in Germany are employed by the Catholic Church, Caritas, and other religious organizations. In fact, Angela Merkel was from the Christian Democratic Union, a party. So, 80% of all the wages earned by health workers in Germany come from the Catholic Church. By implication, all the health insurance policies paid by the German populace and even the government towards health care goes to the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church in Germany is dominating the health sector in Germany. There was a time a governor of one of the eastern states, Imo State, and another person contesting to win elect to rule the state had a debate in the Assumpta Cathedral. The person that was approved by the crowd in the Assumpta Cathedral, the Catholic Cathedral, eventually became the governor, even though his reign there has some K-leg according to Obasanjo. Now, you will discover that the same families are controlling economies and controlling this world, the same families. 5% of the annual tax of Turkey is paid by the Sabanci family. That is, Turkey is one of the 20 nations, one of the 20 richest nations in the world. Imagine one family paying the tax, 5% of the tax of Turkey. Today is a woman that is ruling that, leading that organization. If you cross-check the background of several of those occupying offices, you will find out that they are either in-laws to one great man, they are granddaughters and grandsons of Awolowo, or they are in-laws to Awolowo, or related to one man in the north. In fact, the elites don't marry anyhow. The elites don't marry because of love, because they have what will make life comfortable. The children of the elites are paired for the purpose of having control and dominion in the future. They prepare them. They train them. They deliberately send them to schools. They deliberately send them to schools and institutions where they can meet people who, if they fall in love, they will not fall below. It's only the poor that marry anyhow. It's only the proletariat, the talakawas, that marry anyhow. I remember telling a young girl who I was going out with that I wanted to marry her. We had gone to a party from Ibadan, went to Shaki, stayed for 3 days. We danced, boogie is electric, boogie. I thought that she was naive. When I told her I would like to marry her, she told me, Charles, I call you mobile encyclopedia. I know you are very intelligent, but we don't belong to the same social class. How would I introduce you to my parents? Years later, I met her father. Her father ran from the church to come and meet me in the pastor's office, admired me, wished he knew me personally. I deliberately understood how to become an elite and I worked on it. That was why I didn't become a specialist. That was why I started medical practice very early. That was why I opened my first practice at 29. That's why I have never worked for any person since the age of 29. Now, the next thing about elitism, oligarchy, and control of economy, politics, and the sociology. The Bible says by understanding, by wisdom, and by knowledge, a house is built. Number one, any man that you are subject to understands you, understands the way you think, understands the way you reason. He has had knowledge of how to control you, how to bring you under subjection and dominate you. In the religious sector, there's the same thing that happens. They know how to keep you under their wings. They know how to keep you within their circle. They can occupy you with office, occupy you with titles. They know how to keep you unsettled, transfer you from one place to the other. You'll be expending your energy building a system that you think belongs to all of you. But with time, the iron law of oligarchy will come to operate. That is to say, only the elite few from the family of the founders, only an elite few that are loyal to the founding fathers control the majority of the comfort and the wealth. While those of you who don't understand mind control will be there expending your energy. If anything happens to you, they forget you. No matter how rich you are, no matter how much you have contributed, if you don't understand mind control, if your business goes down, they forget you. I have never allowed any person to hold my mind to ransom, to control my mind. I have an understanding that they have, so I don't allow them to control me. Let's come to music. For a musician to make you his fan, he has controlled your mind. He has an understanding of what you want to hear. He has an understanding of your emotions. 50-50 love, 70-40, 70-30, 60-40, 50-50 love. I think that's the independent grass. He understands you. I want to kaya now, for the rain is falling. He understands you. Sexual healing. He understands you. Don't start what you can't finish. Frustration, I know fun. Millie Jackson, she understands you. Pretty good and good enough. She understands you. Mona Lisa, they understand you. Zazu, they understand you. And they get wealthy from the control of your emotions and your mind. Know that. Don't think that Obi Kubana will allow Portable to marry his daughter. Never, 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 never. Obi Kubana will never allow Portable to marry his daughter. But he sees Portable as a symbolism of those who will drink Odogun bitters. The average person who will drink Odogun bitters has the imagery, the language style, the fears, the agitations, the philosophy, and the psychology of Portable. And so Portable is a good brand to market Odogun bitters. Understanding, social understanding, and then you get wealthy, and then you control the people. Now, the rich, I was wondering, I told a young girl that I presented an award to. Your grandfather was a governor, your father a governor, your father wanted to be senator, now you want to be House of Assembly member. Are you the only ones in the state? But I told her, I changed my mind when I saw you speak and I saw you perform. And when I heard about the things you have been doing concerning breast cancer and all that, she has an understanding. Her parents have prepared her for leadership. Her phonation, her diction, her articulation, her ability to connect and communicate was world class. She has, the parents had the understanding. She bears an Orobo name, bears an Ishekiri name. And so she has bridged the divide of Orobo Ishekiri quarrel. One word or that she presents herself. Just like me, my children answer Igbo names because they were born in the East. When my daughter went to Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, no person knew she was a non-native. And a reverend sister took very good care of her because of her name, Chidinma. Have socioeconomic / political intelligence. Now, the oligarchy deliberately do things to have dominion. Even if they do philanthropy, even if they give money, even if they do whatever, they must make sure it brings back goodwill to them. They must make sure it helps them promote their brand. They must make sure it helps open doors for them. It gives them publicity and adverts that whatever they are spending is not comparable to what they will have paid a TV station or an advert company to get. Just a simple act. Just take the boy that gave money to prisoners, give him scholarship, make sure you show it on television, fine. You see, the first thing you must know is that getting is one of the most important things before giving. The elites have known how to get skills, get knowledge, get comparative advantage, get wealth, and then they come for power. And power is the ultimate control. Even Jesus said, do not leave Jerusalem until I have endued you with power. That's spiritual power. I've only met one man who had wealth, who had spiritual power, and knew how to use it to exercise dominion over politicians and government. And that person is my late Archbishop Benson Idahosa of blessed memory. The word late should not be attached to his name. He is still living in us. His effect is still there. It's a personification of eternal life. Same thing with David Yonggi-Cho, who has also departed. He held the nation of South Korea and the political class. He held it in his palm. He knew how to exercise spiritual control, spiritual dominion, and political dominion. You must know it. So now, why is it that certain families keep ruling people? Certain families keep dominating the economy. In one of my posts, I don't know if it has come online, I talked that the price of gold has been determined daily for the past 200 years in the house of the Rothschilds all over the world. I talked about Nancy Pelosi, who is now the Speaker of the House of Representatives in America, whose father was also House of Representatives member, and she is occupying the seat in the constituency where the father served. I talked about Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney is the daughter of Dick Cheney in America. Dick Cheney was a member of House of Representatives before he became a member of the cabinet of George Bush Senior, I think of Junior too. So these same families. If you go to the Philippines, I had to go and browse about the Philippines before I did this recording. Imelda Marcos, the mother of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the wife of Ferdinand Marcos Sr. You see the way they name their children? They have deliberately do these names. If their daughters marry, their daughters must answer their surnames in conjunction a hyphen with their father's, the husband's name. Sometimes when they know that the father's name is more advantageous, the girls don't change their surnames. The husbands allow them because they understand. It's only poor people that fight over tradition, culture, religion, regionalism, and petty things. The elites believe that everything has an advantage and they must harness their advantage. Ferdinand Marcos was the dictator. It is suspected that he assassinated Corazon Aquino's husband. Corazon Aquino eventually became a woman, eventually became the president of the Philippines. And Cardinal Sin, the Catholic Archbishop, and a set of nuns led a protest against Ferdinand Marcos. And Ferdinand Marcos was exiled, ran into exile, and died in exile. One would have thought that after some generals came into power, after one other lady came into power, that the Marcoses had gone. No, they've been there. The son became a senator representing a certain area, and then now he is contesting for president. If somebody had told me that the son of a dictator like Marcos in the Philippines will be leading the pack in the present 2022 presidential elections, I would have disagreed years back. Listen, the elites know how to build relationships that they can trust. They build relationships, they build friendships, they build goodwill among people. So even if you, the general populace, say bad things about them, there are people who have influence, like as Jesus said, go to the house of a worthy man. When you enter a town, why do you need to go to the house of a worthy man? That worthy man has influence. And if you can win him over, he will bring the other people to join. That's why Islam targeted leadership in the north. The emirs. Ilorin was purely a Yoruba town until the Ibadan and Ilorin wars, and they put an emir there controlling the Yorubas who are natives, original natives. That's the way it is. In many of the northern towns, the wisdom of the oligarchy, socio-political wisdom, and Lord Lugard wrote in his book, The Dual Mandate, in 1922, that we from the south, with this color, with this kind of broad nose, so we are not as politically articulate as the Fulanis. That we are easily carried away by fashion, even when it's uncomfortable, by enjoyment and all that. So the Fulanis are politically, socially very, very wise. So for you to be ruled over, it means that the person who is ruling over you is wiser than you. I'm not talking about godly wisdom. I'm talking about socio-economic stroke political intelligence. Do you have it? Now, the person who is controlling you understands you. So Ferdinand Marcos, who would have thought that his son would be the leading contender for the presidency in the Philippines? He has about 52% approval rate. I was shocked when I looked at the graph. These people know, they understand how you think, they know your fears, they know your ambitions, they know your aspirations. It is because they know your taste, that's why you buy their products. It is because they understand how you reason, that's how you patronize them. They understand you, you don't understand them. Immediately you understand how the oligarchy, how the elites, how the rich reason, then you can become one of them. If you don't understand it, criticize them from heaven to hell, to Jericho, to Jerusalem, to Joburg, to Santin, to wherever, to Madagascar, to Reunion. Nothing will happen. You will just be complaining and complaining and complaining. Let me ask you a simple question. I saw university students, they blocked the road in Benin. They are protesting. You know, the people who have not sent their children overseas, they were saying that the children of the elite are overseas, so they are not concerned about university education. You can't change the status quo. Their children are there. Protest from here to whatever. Those children might come back and rule over you. When I knew that, and I've been saying it before now, that when the daughter of a senator comes with a complimentary card from the father, and she's schooled overseas, and she's more articulate and whatever, those in the panel will know her, and then she performs well, and then she gives her father's complimentary card to the chairman of the panel. My father said I should give this to you. She's likely going to be taken before you. I knew that, and I've been teaching it. So what did I do? When my mates were buying cars, were buying fine clothes, you will have noticed that I've used this to record before. It doesn't bother me as long as I'm not naked. And it is a gift. And I've been wearing it for many years. You won't believe how long I've been wearing this dress. I have kept it. When my mates were doing that and doing that, my co-in-laws were buying land, selling their land to buy cars and whatever, I was training my children overseas too. So ASU strike does not affect my children, or did not affect them. If they did, maybe one or two that schooled here. But my grandchildren, ASU strike will not affect them. My grandchildren, in Nigeria, I will keep contributing my best for the good of this nation. But no matter how, my grandchildren will not be here to smell the odor of the pollution from the ass of my generation. I understood it. And I expect my children to marry into a class that will give them a comparative advantage. Listen, life is not a union. It's not a union of poor people, a union of youths. Learn that. Build yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. The model with which you love your neighbor is the model with which you love yourself. In the parable of talent, they did not hold a meeting on how to invest. If not, that foolish man that hid his talent will have discouraged the rich one. Life will never be balanced. The rich will always rule over the poor. It's in the Bible. Those who have, more will be given to them. Those who don't have, the little they have will be taken from them. That's the way the world is. Wisdom is the principal thing. Socioeconomic wisdom, stroke political wisdom, is the most essential ingredient for living on earth. Well, heaven, we know that. We can create a little heaven here. Listen and listen well. Ferdinand Marcos Jr. most likely will win the elections. The political class know what you want to hear. They know your mind. They have people advising them. They know your mind. The religious elite know what you want to hear. They know how to organize your mind. They know your fears. They know your hopes. They know your aspirations. I took time before I'm saying this now because I want you to think. Do you know, do you understand, are you as wise as the person ruling you? These people, listen, nobody cares about you really. Nobody cares. Listen to me, nobody cares about you. Nobody really cares about you. Let it sink into your head. Understand that these individuals are ready to move on without you. Most of those contesting elections have dual citizenship or double passports. Nnamdi Kanu has a British passport. Do you have? Igboho had a German passport. Do you have? Do you have? You are shouting here, Biafra, Biafra. Do you have? Can you afford a senior advocate? Can you afford Ozekome to defend you? Do you have the resources? Those who have, having is very important. Very, very important. So, sit down and think. Poverty is not a union. Mediocrity is not a union. There's nobody. But the elite know how to unite. Look at them picking forms. 100 million. 100 million. People who were kidnapped in the train have not been rescued. Amechi wants to be president. He has not passed one exam. He wants to be president. The elite, they don't care about you. Don't die for them. Don't fight any person, but they don't care about you. Now listen. Even me talking to you now, I pray that God will keep me, I will live long. But immediately I am not here talking with you, you will switch to another preacher. And all the comments you are making about me now, you start making them to another preacher. That's the way it is. Listen and listen well. In the Philippines, Manny Pacquiao was a boxer. And he won medals for the Philippines. Anytime Manny Pacquiao wins, the whole of the Philippines will be agog, including the president, celebrating his victories. Manny Pacquiao was wise. He converted his popularity to political capital. He converted his wealth to social capital, built housing estates, did a lot of things, and he eventually became a senator. Manny Pacquiao is contesting for presidency too. Ferdinand Marcos's son, or Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has 52% approval rate. Manny Pacquiao has 7% approval rate. Manny Pacquiao might be very popular, but he is not yet influential. Popularity is different from influence. Influence is their ability to make people do what you want them to do. The ability to make people see things from your viewpoint. The ability to make people follow you. Listen, the elite know how to influence. They know how to influence. They are influencers, not Facebook influencers. You don't see them on Facebook like me. You don't see them. No. It's other people that write about them. So, they know how to influence. How many people are you influencing? How many people's thoughts are you influencing positively? How come our daughters are now having sex with dogs? How come our mothers' wives are now twerking with their daughters? How come tramadol had been there. We had been prescribing it for pain. How come tramadol just suddenly took over our children? How come loud and conk just took over our children? How come our children plait long hair and now wear bonnets? How come our boys are bleaching their lips? How come they are wearing earrings? How come all their bodies are tattooed? How did internet fraud permeate our children? Influence. Does the church have the capacity and the ability to influence this society? If we have, are we influencing the society? Are we influencing the politics? Are we influencing the sociology of the environment? The truth of the matter is that we have the ability, we don't know, we even don't know how to deploy it. This morning I was asking my wife for money. I needed 5,000 naira from her. She said no money. And then I kept quiet. And then she looked for 5,000 naira and gave to me. Listen, at that moment, when I was asking her for 5,000 naira, I had lost my authority, my dominion. It was her sympathy and her respect that gave me that 5,000. And she told me, the girl I sent to the bank, she will collect the 5,000 from her. Fine, we don't play love with money in my house. But I was going